Hi, welcome to my week 8 presentation, our final multimedia presentation, and this is on employee privacy in the public sector. So I chose the first video, which had to do with a teacher in Georgia who apparently, she says, was pressured to resign from her position. And this was after, at the time, someone anonymously had brought to an administrator's attention the following picture of her drinking, but also a post that had a curse word in it as well. And so the administrator brought this to the teacher's attention. And according to her, she was basically given the option to either resign or to be put on administrative leave. And so she has been challenging, or she did challenge this. Looks like this took place back in 2009. And so the topic for us then comes, to what extent do employees have privacy? So as public employees, we are basically limited with privacy when it comes to inside the workplace. There's an expectation that we do not have a right to privacy. A lot of that comes from our role in being good public stewards of public funds. And so along with that, many states typically will pass laws that allow the public to request records, such as here in California, the Public Records Request Act, and that typically will allow any citizen or resident to request things like employees' emails. So that's within the actual workplace. When we extend out to personal life, employees are protected as well from talking about their working conditions, protected concerted activity. This typically happens when when employees talk as a group. They have the right to organize into unions, and also to talk about the working conditions. So they may talk about maybe a horrible manager that they have. So when they do so and they publicize that, even through social media, they're protected. It's a First Amendment right that employees have. The challenge becomes when employees make comments individually and they're disparaging and perhaps not even true. Then an employer can hold that against them. In the case with this teacher in Georgia, I did a little bit more research to see where the case was at, and it looks like the courts, and as well as the school district or the board, have rejected numerous appeals that she has submitted. And it comes down to a technicality. Basically, because of the fact that she resigned, as we've learned, she does not have due process rights. Due process rights only kick in when an employee is involuntarily terminated. So what she's been alleging is that she's entitled to share her side of the story. So I guess that's also a lesson for employees. According to this teacher, she is alleging that she was given the option to either resign or to be placed on administrative leave. So perhaps she should have taken the administrative leave, because at that point, it's the school's burden to investigate and to show that she violated a school policy. And so along the same line, when it comes to school policies, it's also important to make sure that policies are clear as to what acceptable and unacceptable behavior is by staff and employees. So not just, or trying to avoid ambiguous language, and then also setting forth examples of what that may include. Lastly, while reading this case, it brought to mind, as a human resources professional, some of the challenges that we see is that managers, upon hiring a candidate, like to do their own type of background check. and they typically will resort to social media. They want to see what type of person they're hiring. And so where I work, we currently do not have such policy that allows for that, and it's always been recommended that a policy be established to clearly indicate who is responsible for doing that. And it's typically recommended that human resources do that for many reasons, but primarily to ensure that information that's being taken into consideration is strictly related to the employee's ability to do the job. So obviously, when you're looking through social media accounts, all kinds of information can be disclosed. The person's religious affiliation, their sexual orientation, information that would fall within the realm of protected characteristics. So we need to make sure that that type of information is being looked at very objectively, that the person who's looking into it, usually like a manager, is aware of their own bias, and is not making decisions that would be influenced by their bias or even be discriminatory. This is the end of this presentation and this course. I wish you all the best.